Awesome. Hey, Raymart, how are you?
Good. How are you, Andrew?
I'm not too bad, thank you. Thank you for coming on to the podcast.
No,
Raymart is a 2017 uh, NCP scholar to Japan. I believe you already graduated. Uh,
about to.
about to.
I'm in my last 6 weeks of the semester.
6 weeks. Oh, I'm almost there. Almost there.
Almost
At the
there.
University of the Sunshine Coast, beautiful Queensland. And today, I'm just here to happy to hear about all of your stories in Japan and obviously all around Asia. So let's get straight into the explain the picture game. How's that sound?
Oh, that sounds amazing. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Let me just share my screen. All right. So if you could just like explain and give a little bit of a description of the pictures that you've provided with me for the podcast audio listeners, because
Yep.
obviously they can't see the picture. And feel free to share any stories or anything that's happening in the picture that isn't so apparent. Yeah,
Yep. Awesome.
let's do it. All right, what's this first photo?
All right. So picture number one.
Uh-huh.
This is from the 2020 NCP Scholars Ceremony, and so here we've got Team USC in action. So in the middle are our USC 2020 scholars.
Mm.
On my left, and I guess the left of the picture, in the center, we have Amy Jarrett, and next to her is Creole Hongi, who are both studying Japanese at USC, and also applied for Japan. And I'm there in my capacity as the incoming 2020 NCP alumni ambassador. And on my next to me is Jason Valasaga, who was the 2019 NCP alumni ambassador from my uni. So, and then on the other side of the picture, we have two of our USC support staff. Jane with the light hair. She is our ILO, our wonderful, amazing, incredible ILO, who's always been really keen to connect. We have coffees quite regularly at 8 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 8:05 if I'm late. And then someone else who looks after the wider sort of group that Jane's a part of, Tracy Tucker. So this is hashtag Team USC in action.
Do you remember the day? Was this the day when we all came to the Great Hall and just all mingling and just enjoying the time before everything happened in 2020?
Yeah. No, I was just reflecting on this and saying like it wasn't that long ago. Like it was what month is it now? August. So like 8 months ago, 9 months ago.
Yeah.
And it just feels like so long ago because of COVID and everything else that happened this year, basically.
Right. No, it was definitely a good time. I was there as well. Little did we know this was going to happen, but no, it's good memories looking back. All right.
I wish we actually got to run into each other.
Yeah.
At this event.
It was a very big hall and a lot of people in it. So yeah. No worries. Well, we're here now today, mate. We're here now today.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Next photo.
Oh, okay. Now this takes me back. So this was about maybe year and maybe a month ago. So it was about July 2019. In this picture we've got 14 Australian NCP scholars or alumni, and at the Australian Embassy in Bangkok. And I think it was a brand new embassy that was refurbished or constructed at the time. And in the middle of all the Australian NCP people, we have the lady is the Australian ambassador to ASEAN, and Jane Duke, and next to her is the then Australian ambassador to Thailand. Mark, I think I forgot his name. But this was part of a wider week where we went to Bangkok to represent Australia in this thing called AFMAN, which stands for ASEAN Foundation Model ASEAN Meeting. And it was the first one where Australia was invited to take part in this Models ASEAN simulation. So if you've ever done Model UN, it's basically that, but like instead of the United Nations, it's ASEAN's mechanic. So it's pretty cool, and it's amazing to be one of the first 14 Australians to go to this. So and I guess even with NCP, you make he basically, it's a big family, right?
Yeah.
And with this, it was, we kind of stay connected, and some of these people are some of my closest friends today, so brings back some very fond memories.
Do you remember which country you were for the
That I
meeting?
represented.
Yeah.
I was Thailand, and which is
Ah.
great because as Thailand, because the chair of 2019 ASEAN was Thailand, we got to also chair the various meetings. So it was great to kind of facilitate the discussions with all the other Southeast Asian nations. And I think another fun memory was actually, meeting people from countries I've never met people from before, like Myanmar, Laos, and oh my goodness, just such a perfect, amazing experience.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. Like having the NCP alumni and other scholars as family, like just looking at this photo and not even leaving my country, like Australia, to actually go to Asia, I recognize so many familiar faces like Cameron, Liam, obviously
Yep.
James as well, Jesse. Yeah,
Yep.
it's just awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And, even though we may not talk, all the time, when we do run into each other, it just feels like, not a day has passed since we
No,
last talked.
no,
It's just such a
it has a
tight-knit
special
group.
connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, on to the next photo.
Oh, this one.
It's like all professional camera, embassy, fried chicken cake.
Neck minute fried chicken cake. Yeah, no. This is actually, I like this picture because it just kind of shows, I guess, the other side of my experience, and it really hones in on that, I guess, if, the people to people connections. And so the person that I'm with here in this picture, she is from the United States of America, lives in Michigan, and during our orientation activities, so I should probably say that this was during my second study exchange at Akita International University. And during the orientation, we had like these various games that they used to get us to mingle, and one of them was to work out who in your group, had a birthday the same month as you, and then once you got together, you would have to rearrange yourself from what first to the last day of August or your month or whatever, without talking. So
Without talking.
And so when we found out we were on the same date,
Yeah.
August the 20th,
Yeah.
we just knew we had to plan a combined birthday party.
Yeah.
And so I guess the chicken is quite symbolic of my Japanese New Columbia planning experience, because in my language classes, everyone would always call me the chicken no hito, which means the chicken man, because I'd always use fried chicken in my sentences when I was learning the language.
Everything.
Yeah. So
Business context, fried chicken somewhere.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, I did eat it quite regularly because it was
Yeah.
just the most amazing thing not one of the most amazing things you would eat in Japan. I mean, this was from KFC, which is not the best fried chicken in Japan, but it was just easier to buy and stack and put cheese on the top.
That's awesome. Was that your first time having your birthday overseas?
Yeah. Actually, no. Sorry. The year before, in 2018, I also had a birthday in Japan. I think I was in maybe Tokyo, I think. Oh no, it was actually Hiroshima. It was Hiroshima. And that was the first time I had my birthday overseas. But I didn't really celebrate it like this. But
Yeah.
the next year, I we did do something, so that was nice.
Yeah, nothing can really top that fried chicken cake, can it?
Yeah, well, no, it's the best cake I've ever had.
As they should. All right, into the next photo.
Okay, so
Look at
yeah, look how concentrated I am.
What's happening here?
Yeah, so this was also during my second study exchange at Akita International University. So if anyone has ever watched or like, Avatar, The Last Airbender, it would kind of look like we're all water tribe people with the blue robes. But no, this is actually a local dance to where I was studying. So it's called Yatose, and it's kind of like it's like this folk, like a traditional folk dance, but combined with more modern sort of music and dance moves and things like that. And so the things that we have in our hand are called naruko, which kind of are just clackers, I guess. You could just use that simple term to describe them. And we are dancing, I guess, in front of an audience in Akita City. So the thing that I like about Akita is that it's quite a regional area. So we got the full sort of cultural experience, but it's very, like, the people that live there are mainly sort of just Japanese people. There are not many foreigners in there. So I think it's kind of nice for the locals to see sometimes foreigners dance some of the local traditions and things like that. So it was really amazing, and it was so much fun. Met some amazing people from Japanese students and also other exchange students too. So yeah, it's just a fun memory from Akita.
Well, what made you want to take up this dancing or this hobby while on exchange?
Good question. I mean, when I was starting out at the university, they had like this clubs night, so where each club kind of presented, I don't know, like a 3 to 5 minute summary of what their group does and why you should join, that sort of thing, which is awesome because it's so much better than just reading on paper, because you can't get the full feel. And when these guys presented, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to do this, because they were so energetic. It looked like so much fun. They said anyone could do it, like beginners, because, you know.
Yeah. Did they do a demo as well?
Yeah, I think a week or two after, if you're interested, you come along and then you try, the dances and stuff like that. And I think we had a bit of a maybe 25% attrition rate, but I stayed.
It's a tough gig, man. Like, not everyone can dance like you.
Well, everyone. I mean, look how concentrated I am. I think that's the only reason why I survived.
No, that's amazing. I think definitely taking up these hobbies and different sort of activities whilst you're on exchange and overseas. I think that's where a lot of the rewarding experiences come from. Hey.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was the first kind of festival we danced at, I guess. The second one was maybe a month or two after, and it was part of a larger festival which was purely about Yatose. And so all the high schools and local organizations that wanted to put forward a team danced in this festival, and it was just so much fun. And I'm just so glad I did it, because I made some really amazing friends this way.
Awesome. Are we going to get a demonstration later, or?
Oh, I haven't done this for like a year and a bit, so I mean, I could try.
Subscribe and you'll get the exclusive content of seeing Raymart dance like that. Yeah,
behind the
scenes. All right. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. So we're at the Australian Embassy now. So we've got Julie Bishop at the front, and this was about March 2019. So this was just maybe half a year after the change in government, the change in political leaders of the Liberal Party, when Malcolm Turnbull lost his prime ministership. So Julie wasn't foreign minister at this time, but she was just visiting because she was advising the Japanese government on some I think modern slavery laws and things like that. And so she visited the embassy, and I was doing an internship at the Australian Embassy during that time, which was amazing experience.
I can imagine.
I was in the education section, so that was also interesting because we had like there was 2 people in the team, and then there was me, so I got to see kind of a lot of cool things and go to a lot of cool events and meetings and things like that. But anyway, to the photo, we're in like the whole area, I guess, of the embassy, and all the staff have congregated here to listen to Julie and ask her questions and stuff. And so she was more open to answering questions because she was no longer a foreign minister. She's like, I'm no longer your boss, you can ask me anything you want.
It's a trap.
Yeah, it's a trap. But towards the end, I asked her a question, and the first thing I said, I'm a new climate plan scholar, and I just cannot forget this. She kind of like squealed because because the new climate plan is her baby, right? And so when she meet someone who's an NCP scholar or alumni or whatever, she just wants to know everything about you. She just loves Hinikoman planning. It's her baby, so that's fair enough. And yeah, no, I can't forget this because she was just so lovely and open about, and I asked a question about, how do we as young people, continue our engagement when we return and things like that. And she actually encouraged me to further engage with, the ASEAN-Australia relationship, which was actually quite convenient because a few months later I went to that AFMAM thing I was talking about.
There we go.
So she saw my future basically.
Put fortune teller.
Fortune teller. That's it.
There we go. That's amazing. How was your time at working at the embassy? I can only imagine it being a lot different to working, let's say, in a private sector. In the embassy, it must be really different, but also incredible in different ways.
Yeah, it was just so interesting. And I think there were so many things about it, but I think the first thing that was just amazing was just the people there. Even as the intern, everyone was so open, so willing to talk to you, so willing to share their career experiences. Even with the social events that they do, like just for the embassy staff, they also invited you along, and it was just so lovely. And but I guess in terms of the actual work, it was actually quite interesting. And like I said before, I was in the education section, so I got to go to cool sort of diplomatic events in the education science space between Australia and Japan. And I got to write some reports and do some analysis, and it was just so cool. And it just kind of inspired me to want to do that in the future,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm keen to hear about it later on. Yeah. All right, next photo.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Back from the embassy back to the classroom.
Yeah, I love it.
What book are you holding there?
Okay, so this is the Genki 2 textbook. So this was like the upper, I think it was the upper beginner class. So it's like the hardest beginner class you could do for Japanese. And with me, so we're all holding our textbooks, and with me are 3 other students in my Japanese class. There was 10, and I was actually the only male, which was a very interesting dynamic. And this was, I think, in our very last or second last Japanese lesson at my second exchange university. And we had just such a tight-knit class, and we all we just loved going to class, even at 9 o'clock in the morning. It was a bit late for some people. It wasn't for me. It was fine.
Bit late.
Yeah. Some people slept in.
Oh my.
And yeah, I just remember the class because I would, when the sensei was like, make a sentence in Japanese, I would always try and use someone else in the class and insult them, and then they'd insult me back, and it was just so much fun.
They look like a fried chicken.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Did you find that going to class, or let's say Japanese language class, was a lot different to Japanese language classes at your university or in Australia?
Yeah, I think it's so different. Like, actually, it's funny because I didn't study Japanese prior to going to Japan. So my first experience was in Japan, which is actually quite great because coming back, I have sort of this kind of in-depth knowledge, I guess, because of the way it's taught in Japan. And I think what's completely different is I feel like when I was in Japan, the classes were more regular because and I just found that was really just helpful, I guess, because you'd have, for this class, we had it 4 times a week. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. So we got the Wednesday off, and there was always homework of some sort, always the videos to watch that we were allocated, things like that. And that really helped. And I think in Australia, and I don't think it's quite common from what I've seen anyway. Language classes, maybe you only have 2 or so classes a week. And I think that's just the nature of higher education here, and it's just not as great as the full-on 4 days a week, and my Japanese like increased and just got better through these classes. And kind of when I got back here to Australia, it just kind of, disappeared a little bit because I wasn't using it as much.
That's right. I guess that happens everywhere. If you don't use it as much, if you live in the country, you have to use it not just in the classroom, but also outside, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Next photo. I think it's the last one as well.
Oh, here we go. Lucky last.
Flexing.
Yeah, actually, it's funny that it's last because this was actually one of the first pictures I think I took in Japan at a sort of an official event, that is.
Uh-huh.
So this group here is pretty sure mostly the 2017 New Colombo Plan group. So start of 2018. Malcolm Turnbull decided to visit Japan when he was Prime Minister.
Uh-huh.
And the embassy in Tokyo, the Australian embassy in Tokyo, they reached out to us and said, hey, Malcolm's coming. We are going to sort of help you guys get to Tokyo for those that don't live in Tokyo. And I'm not sure, I think most of them were actually living in Tokyo, but I was in Sapporo, so I had to fly down and all that stuff. And yeah, so they kind of helped cover the costs of the flights.
That's
which
amazing.
Was nice.
Yeah.
And I think this was one of the first times I've actually got into the same room after the scholarship awards night with the 2017 scholars. So that was nice.
Oh.
And so Malcolm gave a speech, and with Malcolm Turnbull there is the Australian ambassador to Japan, Richard, and yeah, so he gave a speech. After the speech, we were just waiting outside for Malcolm to come out, and he took a photo with us and just kind of shook our hands when we could, back in the day when we can shake hands.
Feels so long ago.
I know, right? And it was about a 30-second photo op, but it was just cool that we got a photo with him. Yeah.
That's awesome. Firstly, I love how you refer to like the ambassador and the prime minister as like first name basis. Like you guys are cool. Secondly, it's just awesome. I think, you've been to so many embassies, mate. Well, the one in Australia as well as the one in Japan. Like, was there a difference? Having worked in the one in Australia and the one in Japan, what was like the biggest differences?
Do you mean
Because like the difference is like you were working in the embassy in Australia, the Japan embassy, but also the Australian embassy in Japan, so the other way around. Like, but obviously the difference is like it's the Australian embassy versus the Japanese embassy. But what was like the difference? Like, I guess we'll go into both.
Yeah. Okay. So I actually didn't work in the Japanese embassy, but just I guess the Australian embassy. It was also good because Richard, the ambassador Richard Court, I got to further meet and talk to when I did an internship at the Australian embassy in Tokyo. And one night he had like a spare ticket to this event, and he took me out to this event. It was like a Stanford University alumni event, and it was just cool. I think just actually getting to know these people, and they're actually willing to, like I said before, willing to get to know you. But I guess in terms of Japanese diplomats, I mean, we did go to the Ministry of Education, Foreign Affairs as well, and the Japanese diplomats, at least the ones that I met, were just so lovely and so open to chatting. So yeah.
Awesome, mate. Yeah, well, do you miss Japan?
Oh, yes. I was actually supposed to go to Japan in about April, and next minute COVID.
Yeah. Why were you going to Japan in April?
Well, one, because I missed it, and two, in my ambassador role, I really wanted to kind of create some sort of networking New Colombo Plan event, and I was really hoping to work with the NCP contact at the Australian Embassy in Tokyo, which I think would have been a new person from when I was there. But just to foster that, because I just had such an amazing experience, and I just wanted to kind of, I don't know, contribute back to it and just try and foster the the new climate plan further in with the current scholars and things like that. So, and also to visit our USC people as well, because they're good friends of mine too. So unfortunately that didn't eventuate, and had to cancel them, and anyway, but yeah,
Do you
just
think?
2020, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. But do you think it's harder to, I guess, keep a connection with your host country or the country that you went to, being in Australia, or have you found other ways to connect during this time?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think for me, I think I still feel connected because I'm still studying Japanese back here. So that's been a big bonus. And I think if I didn't have that, it would be super different. I think also I'm still in touch with a few Japanese friends, and I had this person who I call my Japanese mother, who basically it was one of my senseis actually, but basically adopted me, and she kind of helped me out a lot when I left the language school, which was at the start of my program.
Yeah.
And we just had a really good relationship moving forward. And whenever I'd visit Sapporo, after that, I would, get in contact with her. We'd go to a sushi place and eat lots of sushi, and she would judge me because I would get the fried chicken all the time.
Fried chicken instead of in the sushi, or like
both. So just fried chicken by itself, and also in the sushi.
Okay, of course.
And yeah, I think just Facebook has helped a lot as well with other Japanese contacts that I've had. So that's all helped.
100%. And before we end the first part, I noticed that everyone's wearing a clip of like a flower on their chest. What is that?
Yeah, good question. This was such a long time ago. I don't remember actually.
The ambassador and the prime minister is not wearing it, but everyone else, I can see is wearing it. So
yeah,
was it like a special day? I think celebration day, or
yeah, I don't think it was. I think it wasn't on a special day, not from what I remember, at least. It's like 2 years ago now. But
it would be cool if like everyone that goes into the embassy has to wear a flower.
Well, yeah, no, we didn't have to do that, unfortunately, but it would have been nice because they're quite pretty, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can guarantee that I'm wearing one too. I'm just behind the ambassador there.
Yeah.
So like notice me, camera.
Awesome. All right. I think we'll leave the first episode there. Thanks, Raymart. I'll see you in the next one.
Okay, cool.